Welcome to DES. This week we got a special episode. We're going to be previewing the Champions League final between Bayern Munich and Borussia Dortmund. It's being played in London, England this coming Saturday. This is going to be the first time that we have an all-German final in the Champions League. Previously we've had a all-Spanish final, an all-English final and an all-Italian final. So the Champions League trophy is going to Germany for the third time, after Dortmund winning it once before and Bayern Munich as well. But we're going to start our discussion today about the two teams. We're going to talk about Dortmund's chances in this game, and to do that, I'm going to throw it over to you, Biggie. You live in the North Rhine-Westphalen region of Germany, so what are people talking about over there in the build-up to this final?
Well, obviously, I live in the region of Dortmund, and people, you hardly see any Bayern jerseys here in this state, except for my own. So I have to admit, I'm a Bayern fan. But we can, we come back to that later.
Yeah.
I think there was a survey in the magazine Kicker during this week, and people. Obviously, most of them Germans that take part, the majority thinks that Bayern is going to win this game. I don't have any stats from this state specifically, but I think I've spoken to some people, and I'm not sure how confident they are in their team. But I have to say this: the Dortmund fans are great fans, and I think. I don't want to compare them to Liverpool fans because they're just delusional. Dortmund is a much better team, but it's like they almost carry the team on their shoulders sometimes, especially in the game against Malaga when it was almost over in the end. And I don't think Dortmund would have won that game without the support they had. It was just insane in that stadium. Signal Iduna Park, the old Westphalian Stadium. But there was at the same time there was another survey that was about chances, like who's more likely to win, and then it was 42-58 Bayern. So people are hoping. No, sorry. Was about who they wanted to win the game. So it was 42-58. Dortmund. So the German people, they want Dortmund to win, I think, in general, but I think Bayern is going to win. And that's, of course, because Bayern is just, they've had this, this season, it's unheard of. They've broken all these records. They have, the most wins in the Bundesliga ever, the most points, the best goal difference, the most goals scored, I think, the most points after the winter break, and so forth, So we can't compare these two teams really from the league, but like Gary Lineker said once, football is a simple game. You have 22 grown-up men chasing a ball for 90 minutes, and in the end, the Germans win.
Yeah,
and that's going to happen. Yeah. Actually on Saturday night. There's going to be a German champion. So I think I think Dortmund are pretty confident they have a chance in this game, but they realize at the same time they're fighting a bear. So
yeah, exactly. Talking about which team the Germans want to win, I know quite a few Germans, and obviously you do as well, living in Germany. But one of them told me one time that the people in Germany basically have two opinions of Bayern Munich. Either they love Bayern Munich or they hate them. There is no middle ground regarding Bayern. So I think the Germans are really split on Bayern, and that's probably why they want Dortmund to win. Because the people that are kind of neutral in the middle, they will always lean towards wanting Dortmund to win. But looking at the two teams and looking at which team is the stronger going into this final, it's really, really difficult in my eyes to separate them. Not only on performance, but also in statistical terms. Bayern have had an amazing season, like you said, and they have so many statistics that they've broken and records that they've broken this season. And another one is that in the quarterfinals and semifinals of the Champions League, they have a goal difference of 11 goals scored and none conceded. And this is the first time anyone has not conceded a goal in the quarterfinals and semifinals of the Champions League. So that is just another statistic that Bayern have in their favor. But in the final, I think it's going to be a different story. I think you can throw all statistics out of the window. It's going to be 11 v 11. It's going to be 90 minutes or maybe more. Mm-hmm. So I find it really difficult to separate the two teams. And also, if you look at the matchups on the pitch, it's really a coin flip in most cases.
Well, I have to disagree with that. With if you compare them player to player, I think Dortmund has a better central defense, but the rest, I think, except for the striker Lewandowski, I would put him ahead of Mandzukic and Gomez. Even though I would want Gomez to start this game, I think that's going to happen. But if I was the coach, I would start him. This is exactly a game for Gomez to start, and he knows how to play. He knows how to play. He knows these guys more than Mandzukic, and I think he's a little better fighter. But apart from that, but maybe I would put Błaszczykowski over Robben, which is probably surprising to you.
Yeah, it is.
But I think Robben is a little overrated, and Błaszczykowski is a very important player in this few touches triangle offense that Dortmund has. Because I think, sometimes when I watch Dortmund, I'm thinking, they don't have that good coverage in front of the defense, which is why Subotic and Hummels have had the most clearances of all in the Champions League. They're basically always clearing the ball somewhere, and there's a lot of pressure on them because they don't have a Javi Martinez who's making all the interceptions or Schweinsteiger who's making all the tackles. Even though it's not that bad, but it's still there's a huge difference there. Anyways, I think Dortmund is the most dangerous team on the counter in the Champions League and maybe even in Europe.
Yeah.
They're just so effective when they keep the ball down. They use few touches, and it's almost like they're about to lose the ball, but they're quick. They got quick players. They got really smart players. They're really coordinated. They got a good cohesion, and they got Marco Reus, which is in my opinion a better player than Götze, and Götze is not playing in the final.
Yeah,
just remember that. But I don't think it's going to matter that much because he wouldn't be fully engaged or fully committed, anyways. But Reus, the last game he played, the 2 weeks ago, actually, he scored 2 goals in a Dortmund win, and he can win games on his own if he wants to. If he would be a little stronger, then I would put him even ahead of Ribery overall. But like you said, it's just one game. It's 90 minutes or 120. Could be penalties. Then it's a coin flip. But I even think it's a coin flip in those 90 minutes. It's just I think all the pressure is on Bayern, even though they are confident they can put on a good show. But usually when Bayern plays badly in the past 3-4 years, it's against Dortmund. And they know that.
Yeah. So
that's going to be a huge hurdle for them to overcome in getting confident in this final. So.
Yeah, exactly. And another thing to point out is that the last time that these two teams met on a neutral playing field, which was the 2012 German Cup final in Berlin, Dortmund ran out 5-2 winners. So the Bayern Munich players will know that the last time these two teams played in a final, they lost and lost big. So yeah, it's definitely going to be a mental challenge, and that comes down to the coaches, of course, preparing the players properly for the final. And if we compare the two coaches, we have Jupp Heynckes coaching Bayern, and it's his final season as Bayern coach, as we know. He's leaving, and Pep Guardiola is taking over in the summer. And then on the other hand, we have Jurgen Klopp coaching Borussia Dortmund. Jurgen Klopp has become kind of a hero for Dortmund fans. I mean, I saw a fan the other day that has basically Klopp's face tattooed on his back. That shows the love. What?
Where
on his back?
Or picture?
Jurgen Klopp's face.
You mean you saw a picture, or
No, I
did you?
saw a video. There was an interview on British TV. Yeah.
Okay, okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing how much the Dortmund fans love Jurgen Klopp. But,
Yeah, and just people in general. I
yeah,
have tremendous respect for Jurgen Klopp, and I think he's a slightly better coach than Jupp Heynckes, even though Jupp Heynckes has an awesome record on his resume. But Jurgen Klopp is more like the general public. He's very into the game. He's very enthusiastic. He's wearing usually just like a training kit,
and a baseball cap.
A baseball cap.
Yeah.
And he's kind of like a guy, of course he's been, the kind of the head of the organization or the team, the club in the past years. And this is a team where this is a club that rolls, their own cigarettes. They make a lot of talent themselves, and they, from the youth development team, and they give young players chance. And they haven't, they make more money than they spend, which is just, it's respectable. More, I think more than, buying talent and just, like Bayern is affluent above anything. They can buy whomever they want, but at the same time they have a lot of talent that they brought up themselves, like Müller and Schweinsteiger and Badstuber and Lahm, and so forth. But if they need a good player, they can just spend £40 million on him. So that's where the difference lies, I think, in comparing the coaches.
Yeah,
he's always going to have to answer for. That is, Jupp Heynckes. He's always going to have to answer for the expenditure. So.
Yeah, exactly, and I agree. I agree. Klopp is generally extremely well liked, and I know watching the coverage in the UK of the Champions League, that the British media is completely in love with Jurgen Klopp, even though he's the coach of Dortmund. And when the British media falls in love with a coach, all they can talk about, when is he going to come to England, who is he going to coach, and all that rubbish that goes with it. But it's kind of an interesting thing to note that Heynckes has coached in 3 Champions League campaigns, and in each and every one of them he's gone to the final. He went to the final and won the final in '98 with Real Madrid. Then, of course, last year he went to the final and lost to Chelsea, as I'm sure everyone remembers. And this year he's in the final again. So he's going to bow out of the Champions League for the time being, or forever.
Yes.
Having gone to 3 finals, which is a pretty good record, considering that a lot of coaches have not been past the group stages for the last 16, even though they've coached many years in the Champions League. But if we look at where the game might be won and lost, we kind of have to take a look at the players that might score the goals, the forward players, the attacking players for both teams. So far this year in the Champions League, Robert Lewandowski is the leading scorer for Dortmund with 10 goals, and Bayern's leading scorer is Thomas Müller with 8 goals. You were talking about before who's going to start, Mandzukic or Gomez. I would like to see Gomez start, like you said, but I think it's going to be Mandzukic again. And if we talk about who's going to play in the attacking areas for Bayern, it's probably going to be Mandzukic up front. Then we're going to have Ribery and Robben on the wings, right? And Müller working behind Mandzukic. Yes,
most likely. I haven't thought about how they will set it up, but it's going to be the same, I guess.
Yeah, I think so. Same as the semifinals for both teams, most likely.
Semifinals for both teams.
Yeah. And Götze was out as well, so that's not going to change anything for Dortmund. Well,
he started against Real in Spain.
Yeah, the first leg. Didn't he?
No, the second leg. He started that. He started both games.
Oh, he did? Okay, sorry.
But he came off in the second leg after 10 minutes or so.
Yeah.
I don't think, like I said, I don't think he's a factor in this game.
No.
Would have been a factor in this game. So Dortmund always have a chance. There's just such a mentally strong team, and they just have amazing fans. They got better fans than Bayern, for sure. More die-hard fans, if you want to say. For example, I think each team had 26,000 tickets.
Yeah, something around that figure.
And Dortmund had over 500,000 applications
Yeah.
for tickets, which beats the population of the city,
Yeah.
which is amazing. I don't think that happened in Bayern, even though there were a couple of 100,000 people that applied for tickets. And there are, of course, there are tourists involved and so forth. But that's just one example of how dedicated they are, and they got a young team, inexperienced. It could be their Achilles heel in this game.
Yeah.
The age and the experience. Bayern has Champions League final experience, but also I think there's a lot of stress that comes with it because they lost last year and they can't afford to lose to their rival in this game. So they will have that in the back of their heads. But who knows? It's 90 minutes of football, and we can talk here for hours about this. But we will see on Saturday. Dortmund could get ahead after 1 minute, and that changes the situations completely. It's just
it does. It really does. So I think we should put an end to this by explaining to the viewers who we think is going to win and why. So I'm going to start. I'm going to kick it off. I'm going to kick it off, and I'm going to go with Borussia Dortmund, and I think they're going to win 2-1. And here's exactly why I think they're going to win 2-1.
Okay.
You said earlier in the season during one of our shows that I think it was after Dortmund came back in the quarterfinals against Malaga. You said that there was something about this season and Borussia Dortmund in the Champions League that it was kind of written in the stars that they would go far. And since you said that, and after they beat Madrid in the semi-finals, I've been convinced that they might actually win the Champions League. It would be an incredible achievement for Dortmund, and here's why I think they're going to win. I think they've got youth on their side. They haven't been scarred in the last few years in the final like Bayern have. They lost to Inter, they lost to Chelsea last year. So they have a lot of players playing this final, Bayern Munich, that have lost these finals, and the pressure is all on Bayern's side, like it was in the previous finals. I mean, last year hosting the final at their own stadium in Munich, and before that, when they played Inter Milan, they were probably the favorites going into that game, and they lost both of them. So the pressure is all on Bayern, and I think Dortmund's players, they're young, they're hungry, they haven't been scarred by losing in finals, and on top of that, they have had a good record against Bayern in the last few seasons. So I think all of these things put together, plus the fact that I think Jurgen Klopp is going to win. Because I can't see Jurgen Klopp not winning this match. Just the image of him running around the pitch after the final whistle, celebrating like a maniac, it's just completely etched on my mind. So I'm gonna go for Dortmund 2-1, and I'll stick by that.
Okay. Yeah, I think the law of averages is gonna cancel out your prediction because if you put a great team in a final game year after year, they're going to win eventually. And I think that's why Bayern is going to win this game. I don't think it's going to be because they have, a much better team on paper or anything like that. But I would like to remind you as well that I predicted back in October of 2012, last year, I said that Bayern Munich would win the league in March, which failed, or which happened in the first week of April, eventually. So I was pretty close there. But I also had the feeling, and I said that Dortmund would go further than Bayern in the Champions League. Yeah. So I don't know if. But I have to change my mind though, on this. But I would not be surprised if Dortmund would win this final at all. But I have to put my money on Bayern Munich because of just the superior talent and the history of their history in the past, let's say 3 years. They've lost, or 4 years. Is it 3 years? Yeah. They've lost.
Including this year, it's 4 years, yeah.
2 finals in 4 years. So I'm having a hard time seeing that happen again. But, the bees, they usually sting, and Dortmund is exactly that. That's their mascot, and the mascot of Bayern is a bear. So usually the bear puts their head into the bee's nest and comes out running away from the bees, and that might well happen on Saturday night. It wouldn't surprise me.
We will most definitely see. So there we have it. I'm predicting a Dortmund victory. Biggie is predicting a Bayern victory. We will all find out Saturday evening. For those of you watching in the United States, game kicks off at 2:45 Eastern on Fox. And those of you watching in Iceland, game kicks off at 6:45 live on Stöðusport. So
On Stöðusport.
On Stöðusport, of course, the channel. So everyone's going to be tuned in. Everyone's going to watch. It's going to be an exciting game. Best team will win, and the Germans will win.
May the best team win.
May the best team win.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for watching this week. We'll be back next week with a regular show talking about all things sport and most importantly, probably the NBA playoffs. All right. Thanks. See you next week.